Today is November 2nd, 2023. It is 9:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I had a beautiful reflection. I'm thankful for the gift. What a beautiful gift to receive, yet very, very stern, if you will. Straight to the point. Kind of reminds me of what a high vibrational Scorpio would be or would say, considering we're always seen as the blunt sign to say what's on our mind and not hold back how we feel. It's just nice to be able to do so with wisdom. So, here goes. Now, this came as a result of reading a post, which I like to do sometimes. I'll read a post from someone else and it'll kind of spark my reflections because it's challenging. Like, I'll see that, oh, this seems on the surface very likable. Like, yes, I agree. But then if you stop and you really think about what's being said, I get deep, so that's what happened as a result of me reading a post about pretty much life getting better after someone had someone leave them. You know what I mean? Just kind of those posts that are of encouragement, like, yeah, I got better. You might have left me, right? Which is not, it doesn't feel good, right? Especially if you really like this person and you enjoy the connection. The last thing you want to do is for that connection to end. So typically you'll find posts like this where people are trying to lift themselves up, right? Because they don't want to be down, right? And out due to somebody leaving them. They're trying to look on the bright side of things. And see that, hey, I got something out of this. Yeah, you might have left and it hurt me. I did feel hurt and pain as a result of that, but I got better. So there were some reflections that came as a result of that, because I know some people don't have that tone, how I just said it. Like, hey, I got better. Like, it hurt. You really don't. Depending on the energy of the person, the energy I got from the post was more of like, haha, I'm better. Now that you left, good riddance, because God forbid if you stayed, I probably would have never got better, right? And that's how it came off to me, right? So based on that energy, the following reflections I wrote down based on the knowledge and wisdom that I have from my own personal development and growth. So here goes. Life got better for you after they left you, but that can be likened to a parasite deciding to leave its host after it is satisfied. So where is the boast? Are parasites ever satisfied? I digress. The question is, can you identify when someone wants to exploit you so there won't be a next time? Of course, you cannot control others, but you can control the thoughts you subscribe to, so your actions correspond to those beliefs. Because the fact that you are celebrating their choice to break the connection solely because you are doing better without them speaks volumes, at least to them that have ears to hear. Sounds more like a surprise than knowledge, so much so, if they decided to stay with you, they would have been able to continue to exploit you, because it seems you're not recognizing why you feel the way you feel about their departure to begin with, considering free will. Bottom line, we all do better in some aspect of our life when we know better. Irrespective of a separation, our development begins with knowledge. You knew better about yourself, most likely because your energy wasn't being focused on your partner, a partner whom you most likely put before yourself due to the taboo of self-love. We can't love others when we do not love ourselves, and we can't love ourselves when we do not know what love is, and we won't know what love is if we're not honest enough to acknowledge that we don't know. This honesty is the catalyst for the space needed to allow love to reveal itself to you. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. So if that knowing comes after a separation, it's not without the awareness of self and the part you played in the attachment that caused dis-ease when disregarded. If we're going to take accountability, let it be the whole sum of the matter so we don't think we're beyond reproach. Should we choose to blame others for the way we feel, whereby we, by our own ignorance, will set ourselves up for more disappointment, which is self-sabotaging, just to say the least. And that was the end of those reflections. I found them to be very yummy. I found them to be very stern. I feel like it would be something an elder would say to someone who maybe is young, right? Someone young coming up to them with a broken heart from a relationship and just saying, oh, he left me, and then finally, transmuting that energy into a way that they could focus on themselves. And this is why that thought came to me about, it's most likely that you were putting this partner before yourself, right? Because of the taboo of self-love. You were making this person your everything, your God, you were worshiping them, believe it or not, right? So, as they like to say, rejection is God's protection. I guess that can be another way of saying it here, that like in a sense, them leaving was a sense of protection for you not to go deeper into what you were doing in the first place, right? Instead of paying attention to whatever nudges that you were given, whether it was by your ancestors, the ascended masters, whatever nudges they were giving you, it's possible that you were ignoring those just for the sake of, morality and all these principles that are provided for us when it comes to relationships and how we are to navigate in those situations, right? And so it'll come to a point where, okay, you don't want to make the decision, so something will happen to where the other party will end up making the decision for you. And not to say that they're there for you. It's just hopefully as a result of whatever they're going through, that situation also helps you as well. And hopefully their departure is a step forward to them also coming into, that knowledge of themselves so that they can better serve themselves and be actually an asset to light. That light may be reflected in them and through them to be of assistance to others. Can't really do that when you're self-sabotaging, right? So I thought that was really helpful, although again, like I said, it's very stern, it's very helpful. It just kind of puts the ball back into our court to help us to know that, it's not godlike for us to blame others for how we feel. Like, that's not godly. Like, we are created in the image of God, so therefore we have the ability to control the thoughts we subscribe to, which inevitably will affect the way we feel and the way we act and the way we behave. So if we can So if we realize the correlation between the way we think and the way we behave, then you'll be a sovereign being in your own right. You will learn how to control yourself, right? And it's not to say that you're never going to feel, sad or pain or anything like that. It's just to say, why it's happening, right? And once you know why it's happening, you can kind of better address situations that may come that might be similar. Or maybe you won't even get a similar situation like that anymore because it's just something that you've overcome. And it just so happens that your vibration, having been raised, just won't attract that type of cycle again, because you've completed whatever it is that you've completed. That's what I'm hearing. So, it's not to say that you can't say, hey, yeah, or that you can't acknowledge that, hey, yeah, I see that certain things got better for me, but there's a thin line between the whole picture and you painting it as that person was like this villain and they came into your life and they just caused so much destruction and, knowing good and well, like it depends on your situation. Your situation. So if what I'm saying resonates with you or not. If it doesn't, you need to leave it alone and not try to force what I'm saying into your life. Do not do that. But for those who know, this was not something where somebody put a gun to your head and, forced you to be in a connection with them. You had certain thoughts and beliefs about what a relationship looked like. And you wanted so bad for that to be manifested that you were willing to go to any length to make that happen, not realizing that when you're dealing with a connection, the connection is not just you, it's someone else. You have someone else in the connection who has free will. Okay? They have free will. So the most you can do is just be yourself. You have to be yourself. You cannot expect to get into a situation and think that you can control and manipulate someone and think that it's going to bring you any virtue at all. It won't. And so there's divine order set up, irregardless of what any of our leaders choose to promote or do. There's already divine laws and order set up that if we go against these things, they are set in place to check and correct us, right? And it's done in a sense where you will go through cycle after cycle, same thing, new faces, until you get what is being shown to you, right? Until you get what's being showed to you, you really are not going to be able to hear what it is that I'm saying right now. It's so important to know that it's not about saying that you can't identify when someone has done something to you that was unpleasant, right? Or that where you feel like, oh, I gave this and they gave me nothing. Nobody's saying that you don't have discernment for that. What we're saying is, in this situation where you're saying, I'm doing better now that you have gone, now that you have separated from me, please take the time to realize what you're saying, right? First of all, there's no boast. There is no boast because it didn't come by your initiation. It wasn't you that woke up and said, you know what, this is going to be one of the toughest decisions in my life. And I realize in order for me to get better, because I see what's going on, I have to remove myself from this situation. You didn't do that. The other person left. I don't know what, for whatever reason, but that definitely wasn't your choice. Okay, so there's no boast there. There's no boast. Okay. Now, as far as you having the space now that you are forced to look at yourself. And not really forced, but you're pressured into looking at yourself, or you can kind of like get into another situation, which we call rebound relationships, right? That's what we call a rebound relationship. Instead of you taking the time out and reflecting on what happened and how you played a part in that, a lot of times folks are so blinded by the pain that they feel that they want to pacify that pain and jump into another relationship. Okay, so you could have done that too. Okay, but instead you allowed that space, right? Whatever it did, it sparked something in you to do what you consider to be better with regards to some aspect, some shape, some form in your life got better as a result of not putting your time and energy into this person anymore. Okay, so again, I have to say there's no boast there. There's no boast there. Okay, this is not a competition. This is not to say, oh, you hurt me, so now let me just go back and be like, yo, like, you left me, okay, but I'm doing better. That's not wisdom. And this is why I think Spirit is saying in the end that it pretty much boils down to the wholesome of the matter. Don't get beside yourself. Don't think that you above reproach, that just because this person left you, that you can't be in the same position. Because you really don't, unless you can, obviously, these posts that they post, these little clips and quotes people post all the time, it's out of context, right? There's no context to it. So people are, when they're liking these posts, they're pretty much liking them within the context of whatever they're thinking about, what they've been through or whatever, which you really won't know until you have a conversation with them, right? So it's very surface level interactions here, right? Nothing to be like, what I mean? Like it's very surface level, and we know that wisdom is not found by not going beyond the surface. You got to go and dig, okay? So here's a little digging done, okay? To know that, we are not beyond reproach. You are not beyond reproach. If you do not take the time to sit and figure out why is it that, or what part you played in this connection, it can happen again, right? Because you won't be able to identify it. What you'll end up doing is connecting with the next woman or the next man. And, now you're going to be comparing them. Instead of going into this and getting to know that person for themselves, here you are comparing. You're comparing. You're pretty much saying, oh, you're the better guy because you're better than my last guy. When in fact, you could have someone who's just better in general because they love themselves and they've done the inner work within themselves to be in a position to have someone like yourself because you're doing the work too. But now you're in a position again to tell yourself, oh, okay, he's got to be better because at least he's not doing this and this and that like my ex did. Right? And you're limiting yourself now. You're limiting yourself. Believe it or not, you're limiting yourself because why let your ex be the blueprint for your connections? Why should he be the blueprint for your connections? Why not love be the blueprint for your connections? Why not understand what that means and what it means to love yourself and to understand what love is, to really know and be able to identify when it's presented to you? Because isn't that what people are complaining about? People are complaining about, oh, I love this person so much, and they couldn't see it if it knocked them in the face. Like they would rather settle for quote unquote the karmic, right? The person who's low vibrational, always arguing, always fighting. Like they like the toxicity. This is the life they love. And here I am trying to help them, build them up and everything like that. And they're just throwing me away. First of all, if you are so high vibrational, why would you even care to be connected with someone who doesn't see your value? Why even connect with someone who does not see your value? Right? So and I'm speaking from experience. I had to ask myself these same questions. It's like, why do you care? I mean, even when hearing myself, if I say that, it's almost like, wait a minute, stop. So you mean to tell me, right? You see that this person doesn't value your gems, right? It's almost like what the Bible says about casting your pearls before swine. Why would you give your pearls to a person who is pretty much homeless in spirit? This is what you're pretty much saying. This dude or this woman, she is poor in spirit. She has nothing to give me, but I'm going to give her pearls. She doesn't even know how to, what are they going to do with this? Because if we're talking about spiritual growth and development, that is kind of like you giving, a brand new Apple MacBook Pro to a 7-year-old. You know what I mean? If that 7-year-old hasn't proven that there's some type of young genius or brilliant mind to help, make sure they take care of that laptop and do right by, and use that laptop properly, you're going to have, someone who's, experiment doing stuff and pulling off the keys, and who God knows what they would do to it, because they just don't understand the value of what you just handed to them. Right? It's just like these kids that it's like giving a kid a brand new BMW straight out of high school. Like, they have no, although a lot of rich parents do this, I don't think, kind of like what we learned from like the Cosby Show, kind of like what they taught us, even though they were wealthy, they still instilled values and integrity into their children, meaning they try to show their children work ethic, right? I'm just not going to hand stuff to you, because if I just hand stuff to you, you're going to think this is the way life is, and it's not the way life is. You need to go out and you need to put your best foot forward and see how the universe responds to you. If I always give you stuff, you're going to think I'm your source, and I'm not your source. I'm not your source. You need to tap in. You're equipped, just like myself, to tap in to your spiritual gifts or whatever gifts God has given you, and use those to your purpose, and provide a living for yourself. Right? Don't get caught up in the semantics of parenthood and who's the best parent and all this other stuff that they try to throw at our face, like, in order to compete with other people and to make them feel better about themselves. So, kind of veering away from what we were talking about, it's just very imperative that we know, and I'm going to say that again because they keep bringing that back to me. You are not above reproach. Okay? If you know something, right? If you know something, let me tell you, typically, when I have grown in knowledge of something, it's usually, I don't want to use the word humbling, but it really is a sobering. I like that word better. Not humbling, but a sobering of my mind. It's so clear and it's so fresh that it's sobering. It's sobering that I'm not amped up, and I don't have to be charismatic and all this hooping and hollering and all this other stuff or whatever. It's so sobering to the point where it's like, oh, I get it now. I get why I did what I did. So now I understand why people do in the same situation may do what they have done. And it's not for me to excuse their behavior. It's more to see it's true. You don't do because you don't know. You really don't know. I don't know no person that knows and won't do. So there really is a blockage there. And it's really like, now you can understand why someone would go as far as to allow someone not to fight against someone, to the point where you're just like, yo, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can say to drill this through your head. Like, I can't beat you down enough to get what I'm saying. I can't hurt you enough to know what I'm saying. There's nothing I can do to really to get for you to get to know what it is that I'm saying, other than you going through your own personal experiences in life and coming to that, however way God wants you to come to that information. You understand? That's why I said a lot of times, if you look at the dynamic between parent and child, the child only recognizes what the parent has gone through, the sacrifices the parent has made once they're older and they have kids. That's when the revelation starts to become, oh my God, my mom did this, my mom did that all on her own. Are you kidding me? I can't even, me and my wife, even if they get married, they were like, me and my wife, oh my God, this is so rough. Like, there's so much we have to do. I don't understand, Mom. How did you do it by yourself? You'll see young men and young women talk like this. Why? Because they've gotten experience now. Now it's clicking for them because of the experience. That's why I said there's not enough whoopings. There's not enough beatings. There's not enough lashing. You know what I mean? That you can do to make a person agree with you. That will only make a person fear you. And they're only doing that because they just want you to stop doing whatever it is that you're doing and shut up, because they're just tired of hearing or feeling whatever it is that you're doing to them. It's not because they've come to a knowledge of what you're saying and saying, aha, and having an aha moment. Oh, I get it. Oh, I get it now. And this goes for children too, where these parents beat their children down thinking that they're just going to get it. They're not going to get it. They get it how they get it. And that's through life experience. Right? Now you can, like I said, wisdom will grant you the information necessary to move in the direction you need to move. Trust. It'll happen. You'll become very clever. These are the stuff that we laugh at and that we get teary-eyed for. Like when we used to have all these family shows growing up, they don't have them like they did back in the day. But when we were growing up, like in the 90s, we had so many family shows that would show this dynamic between the parent and the child and just life lessons and them learning stuff and stuff like that. Although it was fictional, it was relatable, right? Because you're just like, oh, wow, like I see how, okay, right? So again, we're not above reproach. If you don't take the time to understand the part you played in a certain connection that you are very salty about, that has been discarded, right? This certain attachment that you had that has been discarded, and you're upset now because you're just not understanding, like, how could they have left me? Okay, then fine, leave me. I'm going to be better because that's going to be my revenge. That's not divine. I'm going to tell you that straight up. Y'all can hate me if you want. Throw your stones. Do whatever you want. That is not a divine response. Revenge. Revenge for what? You think they care what you done? This is a person, if you're really considering this person to be of lower tier than where you are, if you're considering this person to be of a lower level, let's just say vibrationally, you think they're going to be able to identify your value? You think they're going to like you for you? Even if you became rich, you think it's about you? It's not about you. It's about what you got. So as soon as you lose that, there they are again talking shit about you. Because it's not about respect. You can't gain people's respect by riches. That's not how you gain respect. Okay? People are just waiting. That's why a lot of folks wait for rich people's downfall, because they never had no respect to begin with. It's only the attention that they're getting that they wish they had. It don't have nothing to do with respecting these people. Because as soon as they mess up, guess who's there laughing? That's why I say you're not really quite whole in that aspect. Like, the thought process is not really wholesome. There's still some remnants of dis-ease right there that is causing you to believe, man, if you can just get a reaction out of this person, your life would be better. It's not. I can promise you that. I can promise you that. It means nothing. This is what I'm saying. Like, if your thoughts are not whole, you're going to set yourself up for disappointment. Like, you can never go wrong taking accountability for yourself, right? It wasn't about me leveling up to cast that in front of people's face. It was about me wanting to really understand what the fuck was going on with myself and how to have more power and to gain control over my own mind so that I'm not vulnerable to other people's ideals of me, perspective of me. Like, do you know how that feels to know that you only feel good about yourself when you get a certain recognition from other people? Like, I'm free of that. You know what I mean? And there's still room for growth, but I can honestly say here, even as I'm talking now, like, the fact that I can even recognize when just like I just did with this post, that I can recognize that this person, whoever wrote this post, ain't 100% healed in the aspect that they're addressing. They're not 100% healed. There's still some residue there because the idea of this idea of trying to get revenge it's not wise, right? It's not wise at all. I'm telling you, you don't ever want your confidence to be built on someone else's downfall. Does that make sense? Like, you're only confident so long as this person is down and out. Like, if you can only feel good about yourself because a person that you once, I guess, admired or liked now is like, you're just waiting for them to crumble and fall. Like, I'm sorry, but if you don't conquer this now, it's only a matter of time that you meet another person that pisses you off, and you'll just be sitting there waiting for them you'll be wishing all this ill will on them, not knowing universal law and divine order, that shit will come back to you. And even more quickly and more so if this person is doing their work and you don't even know it. If this person is doing their work and their name is really known in the ethers, spiritually speaking, and that you have no case in spiritual court, I'm telling you, everything that you put out on a person, all these hits you put out on them, this is where they get all this stuff in the physical from. All these hits you try to put out on them, all this negative energy you try to spew out because you just felt like if they would just die or if they would just be gone, that your life would be better. It's all going to come back to you. It's all going to come back to you. You're going to feel that. When you're saying, I wish death upon somebody, you're going to experience death. When you say, I wish somebody gets sick, or I wish this relationship would break up, your relationship's going to break up. Right? It's almost like you are speaking spells on yourself. Because at the end of the day, you got to realize when I say that we have free will, I mean just that. We have free will. Like, nobody controls your emotions. It's your thoughts that lead to the way you feel. So if you want to change the way you feel about something, you have to change the way you think about something. So take that little bit of information and just realize if everyone has to be accountable to their own thoughts so they can control their own feelings, what makes you think your ill will against somebody is going to bring them down? It's going to bring you down because you're going to be sitting there waiting for the results and it's just not going to happen because their life is dictated how they feel about themselves. The only time this shit works is when people actually are in a weak space and they really believe what other people are saying about them, and they really need the validation of people in order to feel better about themselves. So yes, of course, if you're dealing with somebody who is very weak-minded, and now all of a sudden certain people in their life are turning on them and calling them out and defaming their name and all types of stuff, they might find it very difficult to recover because they haven't established that personal connection within themselves. So it just goes back to self. It's not because this person has some magical powers over that person. It's because this person is weak. If that person wakes up and becomes strong, what them people do don't matter. Not at least in their life. It's that simple. It's that simple. It really is that simple. Right? It's that simple. So that's why I say you don't want your foundation. That's that insecure foundation. When your foundation is founded upon other people's perspective of you, your house is about your house, your temple, right? You're the temple of God, what they say, right? That God would inhabit. You're making that place more and more wretched. I don't know how to say that word, like more and more inhabitable. You know what I mean? And like I said, it's not that it backfires. It's you're speaking these things, you're thinking these things, and this is something that you're setting up against yourself. It's really not for anybody else. It's almost like you're telling on yourself. You're telling on where you are. Just like this post that I read told on that person because I have ears to hear. He or she told on themselves. Right? Oh, the best revenge is to do better after they leave. Go ahead and do better, because when they leave and they look back, what? They're going to be sorry that they left you? No, they're going to be sorry that they don't have what it is that you got now. It's not about you. Once again, it's superficial. You're thinking superficial again. They don't care about you. That's why they left. But if they somehow are now affected because you're doing quote unquote better, best believe that better has everything to do with what a possession. It don't have nothing to do with you. It doesn't have anything to do with you. Do you see that? I don't think I need to say that over and over again, but it's very important to me, like, to know that, like, they don't see you. They see what you have. And that's never an indication that God is blessing you. Right? That's not an indication to them that God is blessing you. Because there are rich people who are not pure in heart. Do you hear me? By way of inheritance. It has nothing to do with the work they've done on themselves or anything like that. It's what has already been established before by others that came before them. So you can't use that as a measuring stick to say, oh, God must be with these people more because they have more possessions. They have more material things and more material wealth. I mean, we see that today, right? Look at our country. We're the most obese, right? But we have a lot of stuff. But we have the most issues with disease and stuff, and yet they're trying to convince us that other people that are just, they might not have as much as we do. They're trying to convince us that they're so unhappy and so impoverished. And look at how many people, look at what they're advertising now. Better health. All these people got to go to therapy. With all this access to stuff that you have, it still doesn't make a difference. right? Because you're not getting to the root of the problem. Because people still want to make money off of you. They want to bank off of your misfortune. And misfortune, I mean, what you're not understanding as far as what's going on with you mentally and spiritually speaking. I don't know what therapist would tell you, go seek revenge. Like, the best revenge is for you to do better. Like, what? You're still making it about the other person. When is it going to be about just you? What about what you want? Fuck revenge. Fuck them. What do you want? What do you want? Right? Stop making this always about other people. It's about you. It's about what you're thinking, what you're subscribing to, what you're believing that's causing all this mayhem in your emotions. Right? The beliefs you hold on to so dearly. Like, if you would only see that they're not worth hanging on to because they're causing you to be uneasy with yourself. Okay? Obviously, right? What good was it for you to believe that he should have stayed? Obviously, that's not working for you. Because it's making you trying to build your whole entire environment around what you're going to do now that he's gone. This was good. You know, we're here to evolve. We're here to grow. You know, there's so much. Since intelligence is infinite, there's always more to be gained. Always more to be gained. Okay, so, but it's just nice to know that we can get to a space where we can know without a shadow of a doubt that we have overcome whatever it is that was taking us down by way of our ignorance. That's all it is. Ignorance. My people perish for lack of knowledge. Our lack of knowledge is the only thing that we should be worried about at the end of the day. It's not your ex-boyfriend. It's not your ex-wife. You know what I mean? It's not this guy over there, this person over there. It's you. At the end of the day, you need to know who you are, right? So you don't lose sight of that and start blaming other people when you lose sight of that. You lost sight of yourself. Or maybe you didn't even know who self was. Maybe you didn't know yourself, right? Maybe you didn't know. But even still, it's you. It's all you, right? It's all you, right? This is why a lot of people can't understand why certain people is just like, they don't take to holding on to stuff. Even people who have been raped. You'll see some people, they'll move on, forgive. They're not saying the rape was right. They're just saying, hey, I can't hold on to that fucking energy and live. Do you understand? I don't have time to try to figure out why this person did what they did. All I know is that I didn't deserve that shit, right? And I'm not going to let it take me down. And I'm going to be the best version of myself that I can be. And at the end of the day, I will allow God to deal with that person accordingly. They will have to deal with themselves. God forbid. And you'll have some people that take it even deeper. They'll even realize that, hey, maybe this nigga was touched too when they were younger. You know, maybe they're doing what they're doing because some parent did that to them and vice versa. And it just goes down the fucking chain. You understand? So it's almost like when you start to understand cause and effect and you realize that you don't have shit to do with that, you remove yourself from the equation. That's what a lot of y'all need to do. You need to remove yourself from the equation because you don't have shit to do with what it is that a person is going through. Spirit gave me that information very early on when I started to see certain things that were like triggering me in a relationship. That was like one of the first things Spirit told me. This has nothing to do with you. How this man is acting, this has nothing to do with you, right? Isn't it interesting how someone can take their childhood trauma and put it all on you, a complete stranger that they just met today, but they don't even have the balls to go to the people that actually hurt them. These are people projecting their hurt and pain onto other people because they do not want to address what happened to them, right? And it's not to say that they need to, right, in order to be happy, because at the end of the day, these people could pass away. These people could be not here in the same country or whatever. You might not be able to get a hold of them. So that tells me, what kind of God would I serve if my deliverance from whatever it is that I want to be delivered from is reliant upon me getting closure with someone? It can't be, because these people have free will. They can flee the country. They can go wherever they go. You want me to spend my whole life chasing a motherfucker, trying to get them to apologize for some shit they did? No, that's what Spirit tells me. No, that's not my responsibility. I don't have to go there. What I need to see is how this thing is affecting me and what I can do about it within myself to make sure that it doesn't affect me anymore. Because it's a mental game, y'all. It's a mental game. The person ain't even in front of me no more, right? This person ain't even talking to me. It's like a fucking ghost, right? Memories, right? Trash that shit. Garbage can it. See it for what it is and put it in the fucking trash can. Same thing you do with your computer. Where do you think they get these ideas from? Right? Sooner or later, it's going to crash. Your computer's going to crash. If you don't clean that shit out and you don't keep it clean, you overloading it with all types of shit you don't even need for present use right now. Get rid of that shit. People do it with their homes. Don't hoard. Throw out shit. You don't need it. Get rid of it. This shit is energy. Get rid of it. Get it out your place. Get it out your face. You don't even use it anymore. You know what I mean? And that's the same way I look at this. Like, it's just like, hey, it is what it is, right? If there is something else that I need to know I can bring it, as they would say. I can present these things, okay? I can ask these questions, and I can wait for an answer. Doesn't mean that I stop my life and I don't live my life. I just know based on experience. And that's the beautiful thing about experience. It will teach you that you don't got nothing to worry about, right? It becomes those mustard seeds that you need to move forward in life, to know that whatever is supposed to be revealed to you will be revealed in due time. I don't have to be a detective, okay? I know that whatever it is that needs to be revealed to me, it will be revealed to me in due time. It is not my place to be trying to undo somebody else's actions. Actions that were dictated by their thoughts, not my thoughts. Why would I put that upon myself?